Shanti. All of you say after me, Om Shanti. You are most welcome to this special Raj Yoga camp to experience God's power. How to experience God's power through Raj Yoga. This is the special theme of this retreat that you have come for. So the first session in this retreat is awareness of one's own spiritual identity. Before we understand our spiritual identity, let us understand what yoga means. And then let us understand what Raj Yoga means. And then, who is the yogi? And then later on in the day class, we will learn who is the Yogeshwar, the Supreme. And in the evening, we will learn how to connect the self with the Supreme. So first of all, let us know what yoga means. Actually, the real word is yoga. But today, it is hardly spoken as yoga because they have changed this word yoga into yoga. That's the English interpretation. But actually the original word is yoga, which comes from the Sanskrit word yuja, which means to connect, to unite, to link, to meet. So any type of connection, link, joint, meeting is called yoga. And the word opposite to yoga is viyog. And viyog means separation, going away, distancing. So in comparison to viyog, which means going away, yoga means meeting. Now this meeting could be at different levels. We have the physical level, we have the mental level, we have the intellectual level, and we also have the spiritual level. There are 4 levels of yoga or meeting or connection or link. The physical level we all understand very well. It is meeting between 2 objects. You add sugar to milk, that is also yoga. And the result of adding sugar to milk is that the milk becomes sweet. So sugar has the quality of sweetness. And when that sugar is added to any liquid or anything, that thing also gets the quality of sugar and it becomes sweet. So that's the physical way of understanding yoga between 2 objects. In that way we see this physical yoga, physical form everywhere. You join 2 wires, you connect with the powerhouse by joining the 2 wires, and we are able to get electricity because the powerhouse generates electricity. and we get light, fan, mic, cooler, all that, through electricity. So there is some energy which is connecting the two. That electricity is the energy. Similarly, you tune in your radio, now your FM radios are on. You put your needle to a particular frequency, and your radio receiver is able to hear the sound. So it's sound energy traveling. And you can get the translation in your language. So we have sound energy, light energy, heat energy, magnetic energy, also electromagnetic energy. Somebody in the aeroplane, the pilot in the aeroplane can speak to the ground through electromagnetic energy. So we see these physical energies in the atmosphere through which we are able to connect. And the result is there is a very good communication. So this is a physical level. This is how we understand yoga. Yoga means a connection, a link, a communication, a joint, a meeting through some energy. Then if we take it on a mental level, yoga means a meeting through the mind. Whatever you remember, whether it's a person, an object, a place, a situation, anything, you think of it and immediately you are connected to that. Maybe that incident happened some 20 years ago, a sad incident. You lost your near and dear one maybe some 20 years ago. But the moment you think of that incident now, immediately you feel so sad. Well, now everything has changed in 20 years. But that situation when remembered makes you sad even now. So you're communicating with that incident and you're getting the experience through your mind. So the mind becomes the mental energy which connects. People are also able to go into the future through some intuitions. So they're able to connect to the future as well. And they're able to visualize it through the mind's eye. The mind becomes like an eye visualizing that incident or a situation or some scene and all that. So that is a mental link. And we call this yoga in a mental way, through the mental form. Then there's the intellectual way of yoga too, where any scientist is doing an experiment in a laboratory and he's doing some research. He expects a result. So he is connected to that result. So we can say he has yoga with the result. As I'm a science student, I can give you many examples. The example of Archimedes. He wanted to know why when something is put in water, that object, it becomes light. What happens? How does it become light? Where does the weight go? And immediately how one day he went into a tub and was wanting to take a bath. And immediately he felt himself to be light. And he realized it is the displacement of the volume of water. And that enables that person to become light. So that displacement weight of that volume of water is the real weight which is lost. And immediately he said, Eureka, Eureka, I found it, I found it, I found it. So we can understand that intellectually also we are connected to something, and when we come to know, immediately we feel so excited. So that's the intellectual way. Then the fourth is the spiritual meaning of yoga, where the connection is of the self with God. Because the self is a spiritual being And the Supreme is also a spiritual being. So the spirits connect. And that is the spiritual form of yoga. But there again, it's the mind which is working. The mind connects the self with the Supreme. The mind is a very, very powerful energy. That is why we see in many companies, in all companies rather, we have the human resource development, human resource department. The government has Human Resource Development Ministry, HRD, which looks also to the education. So we can see that the human resource is actually our mind, our intellect, our thought energy. It's not just the physical energy, the physical things of the body, but it's the mind. And the mind is supposed to be the greatest resource in any human being. And God says, keep your mind in me. Connect yourself with me through the mind. So when the mind is connected with God, that becomes Raja Yoga, the king of all types of yogas, because the connection is with the highest on high, the Supreme, above whom there is no one. And the connection is also in the most easy and very short form. It's so quick, so easy. You don't have to do any penance. You don't have to, do any physical labor. You don't need to really do anything physically hard. It's the mind which works. It's the intellect which works. Therefore, Raj Yoga is called Sahaj Yoga, the easy form of yoga. It's also called Buddhi Yoga, where with the help of the intellect, the understanding, the mind is connected with God. It's also called Jnana Yoga, where knowledge is understood. Knowledge of the self, knowledge of the Supreme, knowledge of karma, knowledge of the cycle of time. These are the spiritual aspects. And when they are understood by the mind through the intellect, then the mind is easily able to connect with God. And therefore we call this Jnana Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, Sahaj Yoga, and of course Raja Yoga, the king of all types of yogas. Whereby when you connect with God, you become the king of all your senses. You become the king of your own mind. That is, you're able to rule over your mind, your senses, and thereby, because the actions become elevated through that, you are also able to rule over others' hearts. What we can say in the language of management, you can manage yourself by managing your organs, sense organs, your mind, your emotions, your feelings. And in this way you are able to also rule the hearts of others, because you perform the right actions and thereby win others' hearts. And when we can win the hearts of others, we can surely win the whole world. No one can ever win the world through violence or through weapons. Never. It has never happened. But yes, through love, through winning the hearts of others, we can truly rule over the world. And this is what Raj Yoga teaches us, whereby you become the king. But in order to become that, we have to differentiate between the self and the body. When we say human being, What does human being mean? The word human being has two words, human and being. The human part is the physical part, the humus. We say the physical part, the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, which make up the body. Which is a skeleton of bones and flesh. But then the being part is the spiritual part, the subtle part. It's like a computer with a hardware and a software. The hardware, the hard disk, has a lot of memory. But then, more important than that is the software. For what will that computer be used? What type of software is to be put in it? So the hardware part is the physical body, the brain, which has a lot of memory, very powerful. But then what is remembered depends on the software. Now what is that? Because that's the true me. The hardware part is what you eat, what you wear, what you do. That's the physical part. But the software, the subtle part, the spiritual part is what you think, what you feel, what you experience, what you remember, the subtle part. And that is why the saying goes that you are not what you eat. What you eat, maybe that makes your body. You are not what you wear. Somebody may be a thief and he may be putting on clothes of a saint, a sadhu. But he's a thief, he's a robber. He is maybe even we have these terrorists today. They come in the dress of military, army dress, you never know. So you are not what you wear or you are not what you eat. You are not what you do because you do so many things. A managing director in the office, maybe at home he is helping his wife cleaning the utensils, It can happen, why not? But in the office he is a managing director. But at home if the servant doesn't come, he has to help his wife to clean the utensils, or to clean the house, or to look after the child. So you are not what you do, but you are what you think. And what you think, that you become. That is, if you think you are very unhappy, you are very peaceless, then no one in the world can make you peaceful. It's all in the mind. But if you think you are peaceful, then no one in the world can make you peaceless. No one can take away your peace, because peace is your own nature. It's just like, water. Nature of water is coolness. Even if the water is heated up, it can become hot, it can reach boiling point, it can turn into vapor. But then just leave it, remove the fire, then it will cool down again. No, it won't remain as vapor. It will cool down. Because heat has been added to water, fire has been added to water, that's why it got hot. But once the fire is removed, water goes back to its original nature of coolness. So just like these 5 elements, they have their own nature. But then when I say, I want peace, I want love, I want happiness, how will that be experienced? The physical body doesn't want peace or love or happiness, really, to ask. The physical body wants just food, water, clothing, shelter, that's all. Because the body is made up of 5 elements. And because of that, the 5 elements need the 5 elements to keep the, to maintain the body. You feel hungry because the body needs calcium, proteins, the minerals, the vitamins and all that. Blood also needs all that. You need water because 80% of the body is water. You need air, the lungs need oxygen. So we can see that the physical body needs these physical things. But in spite of having all this, if there is no love, no peace, no happiness, we feel that we have got nothing in spite of having everything. Somebody may give me food and water and everything, all the facilities, but not give me any love, not give me any respect. I would rather not take that food because he gave food with anger or he gave food with hatred. I'll say, please, I better go hungry. I don't want to eat food like that, given in this way. Because we have our own self-respect. So, in spite of having everything, in the world, all the physical things, the best of gadgets in the world, but still people are not happy. So happiness doesn't come from these external things. Peace, happiness is all in your mind, as they say. So if you want peace, if you want love, if you want happiness, go within. Look within and you'll find within. What does it mean when we say go within? Within what? If you cut the body, dead bodies are dissected. Like they do post-mortem. What comes out? Blood and pus and, in medical profession, dead bodies have to be dissected, have to be, done research upon. You don't find peace and happiness and love and all that. When somebody dies, we say that now he is in a peaceful state. But still we pray to God for the peace of the soul. Oh God, may his soul rest in peace. The body is already in rest. They are already in peace. But still we pray for the peace of the soul. So who am I? I am not the human part, but I am the being part, the subtle part. Many people do understand this. There are two things, the soul and body. But then when they speak about soul and body, they get confused. They say, I have a soul in my body. They say, when you say, I have a soul in my body, it carries actually a different meaning. It means that you are actually something else and you have a body and you have a soul. But who are you? Who am I? I have a body, I have a soul. I have, but what about the self? Who am I? When I have a handkerchief, this is not me, this is different from me. I have a car, I have a home, I have clothes, so that's separate from me. I'm not the car or the home or the clothes. I am, what I am, that is more important. So some will say, I have a soul in me. Now again the question will come, who is the me? Am I the body which has a soul? Then who is saying this? I have a soul in me. When the soul leaves the body, will the body be able to say, now I don't have a soul in me? Will the body be able to say that? Because who is speaking? Who is looking? Who is experiencing? Well, you may say the eyes are looking, the mouth is speaking, the ears are listening. But again, these are the physical things. They can't experience. Okay, even if the ears are listening, but who is understanding what he is listening? How the ears can't decide whether what I'm listening is good or not good, what I'm looking at is good or not good, what I'm speaking is good or not good. The eyes or ears or mouth can't decide that. So who decides? The one who decides is the one who is speaking or looking or hearing. The microphone can't decide what is being spoken, whether it's good or bad. But the one who's speaking through the microphone only decides. So this mouth is like a microphone. The ears are like the telephone, you know. The eyes are like the lens of a camera. They can't decide. So once I understand that this physical body is only a medium, and it's a soul which is doing the actions through the body, then we understand the sentence as, I am a soul in the body. I am a soul. When the soul leaves the body will not say anything that I am now only a body. The body is a dead object. The soul gives life to the body. Of course, matter has its own life. Even plants have life, you know. But then that life is the physical life. We have the cytoplasm, the protoplasm, the nucleus, every cell. We have animal cells and we have even plant cells. But they are different in structure. So life in a physical way is there. Every cell has life. But then when I say soul, what does that indicate? What does that mean? Soul means that which can think. You say brain thinks. We say no, brain is only a medium. The computer is, the software is put, no doubt. And then when the mistake is done, immediately it will come up on the screen. It's very clever, but it's not the screen which is clever, which is able to detect the mistake immediately, the virus immediately, but it's the software, the antivirus which has been put, which is very good, and immediately the threat is found out, the virus or worm, whatever, is found out. It's the software. So the brain is also like a hardware. There are children who are able to remember their past lives. How are they able to remember their past lives? People are taken into hypnotic regression into past lives. How is that possible? Because this brain has maybe memory of only one birth, only this, but what about the past births? So we can understand this brain is maybe like the motherboard, the hard disk, but it's the software which has come from the past lives. So I am that soul which has the power to think, which has the power to decide, which has the power to experience, which has the power to retain the actions which I do through the body and take it forward for the next life. Therefore it is said that I will not take anything of this world, but only my karma will come with me. My good or bad actions will accompany me, and that will result in my fate, my destiny for the future. So how are the actions stored? In what are they stored? It's all in the soul. So what is a soul? In the Gita it is very clearly mentioned that a soul cannot be cut, cannot be made dry, cannot be made wet, it cannot be burnt. That is the physical elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. They cannot destroy the soul. Physical things are destroyed by physical matter. You put something in fire, it burns and turns into carbon. Gold, when put in fire, purifies, the alloy melts away. Something hard you put in fire, it becomes soft. Something soft you put in fire, it can become hard, you know. There are physical changes happening in the physical things when put in fire, or when put in water, or when exposed to the heat and all that. But then the soul cannot be affected physically by coming in contact with matter. But yes, spiritually the soul is affected, because the awareness and the forgetfulness is experienced by the soul. So when there's the awareness, I experience all the good qualities, and when there's a forgetfulness of the self, I forget my original nature. But then, what is that soul? What is its form? Where is it in the body? How does it function? Because only when I'm aware of that, will I be able to become aware of my true self. About the physical body we know very well. We learn in science, we learn in physiology. But then, when I say soul, many people say, how do I accept? I don't see it. If I see it, I will believe. But you can't see everything in this world. These physical eyes don't have the capacity to see everything anyway. You can't see the sound which I'm speaking and is going through the microphone and the amplifier and the speakers and coming to you. You can't see it. You can only listen to it. So too, physically you can't see the soul. But spiritually you can understand it. So what is a soul? It's a tiny point of divine light. It can be visualized through divine insight. The third eye is able to visualize it. These physical eyes can't visualize it, because the soul is not physical. These eyes can see only physical things, and that also not everything. Sometimes to see very tiny things you need a microscope. Even the powerful of microscopes may not be able to show you everything which is very tiny. Nobody has seen an atom physically anyway. You can't see the farthest things, so far away things are in the galaxies. You can't see them without the telescope. But even the biggest or strongest of telescopes can't see everything. So these eyes do not have the capacity to see everything anyway. You need some instrument. And through that also you can't see everything, even physically. But then how can you see the soul? So many people are not able to understand this, and therefore they argue a lot. But who is thinking? Who is feeling? Who is experiencing? That's the soul. And how does it experience and feel and think and retain the karma? We say through its three faculties. They are the abilities of the soul. We call them as MIS. Mind, intellect and samskaras. Mind is actually a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, like it links. Therefore, mind affects the body and the body affects the mind. That is why those people who go for physical fitness, they will say a healthy mind in a healthy body. So they go for physical fitness first and do different types of exercises, the hatha yoga, the pranayama, whatever, to make their physical body strong, and then they go into, they become quiet, peaceful. So the body affects the mind. But then, if you look at it from a medical point of view, it's mainly the mind which affects the body more. That is why WHO has rightly said that over 80% and some say even 90% of the physical ailments are psychosomatic. That is, psycho comes first, then comes the somatic part, the physical part. That is, the mind affects the body. Tension, stress, anxiety, fear, depression. There are so many mental factors which affect the body immediately, and so many physical ailments come. Skin problems, heart problem, all these different problems, blood pressure, what not. Sugar also, diabetes, is all because of the mind. Not everything, but not always, but 90% are because of the mind. And 10% could be for other reasons, hereditary, the atmosphere and all that, food, whatever. So if 90% of the physical ailments are psycho, more to do with the mind, then what should be corrected first? Should we go for the body first, or should we go for the mind first? Huh? What do you think? Huh? Yes? Body first or mind first? Mind first. But what is happening is that we are going for the body first. Okay, we become strong physically, and then afterwards somebody tells me something, immediately I get upset, I get angry, I get agitated, I become depressed, I get upset, all that, and immediately it affects the body once again. So I have to strengthen my mind first. And how will my mind be strengthened? By giving it the proper food for thought. Just like the body needs proper food to keep the body level proper, to make the body strong, we need proper nourishing food. Similarly, to keep the mind strong, we need proper thoughts. And therefore the statement goes, as you think, so you become. So mind is actually a very, very important factor which connects the soul and the body, but actually mind is above matter. Mind and matter are not the same thing. Ask any neurosurgeon where is the location of the mind in the brain. He will not be able to tell you. Brain surgeon or neurosurgeon. Where is the mind? He'll say it is only some energy. Because it's not physical. But very often we, mix up between mind and matter. When I don't understand something and maybe I'm questioned, I'll say, well, doesn't matter, forget it. Or if somebody tells me something which I don't like and then he says, sorry, I'll say, okay, don't mind. Huh? So don't mind and doesn't matter. Is it the same meaning? It shouldn't be, because mind is above matter. So mind is the subtle part, the spiritual part, and that is an ability of the soul. But definitely it affects the body very much. And therefore the mind has to be corrected first. But above the mind is the intellect. That is why they say, think, then decide, and then act. Because first the thought will come in the mind, and then you decide whether that thought is good or not good, and then you act. So the intellect is the decisive factor, the decision maker, what we call as the inner voice, the inner conscience. Whenever the mind is thinking something wrong, you say, oh, my conscience is biting me. My conscience is pricking me. I know it's not right. It's not good to think like that. Because the mind is affected by the physical body, the senses, and as well as the intellect. That's why we sometimes say, I'm in two minds. My one mind is saying do it, but my other mind is saying don't do it. I'm in two minds. Now, what does it mean, two minds? You have only one mind. No, you don't have two minds. But why do you say this? It's like two sides of a coin, like a bridge. One side is the other side, one side and the other side of the bridge is connecting to the other side. So mind, what is mind? It is actually the ability of the soul to think. Mind's speed is so fast. It is much faster than any speed of physical energy. Light travels the fastest amongst all the physical energies. It takes 8 minutes for the sun ray, when it starts from the sun and reaches the earth, it takes 8 minutes. But then how long will the mind take to reach the sun? How long? Fraction of a second. You just think of it and you are sitting in the sun. You know, experiencing the heat of the sun instantly, though the sun is thousands and thousands of miles away from us. But how do we experience it? We have not reached there physically, but the mind has reached there instantly. So what is the mind? Is actually the thought energy. And thought energy travels so fast. Psychiatrists are, psychologists have been able to do some statistics that during the whole day from morning till night, if you have a normal mind, no stress, nothing, at least 60,000 thoughts come in one day. And to be more specific, at least 30 thoughts in 1 minute. 30 thoughts come in 1 minute. And therefore calculated to 60,000 thoughts in one day. But then if one is stressful, everything becomes reversed. Instead of 30 thoughts in 1 minute, it becomes 30 thoughts in 1 second, or maybe 60 thoughts, in one, not like double. That is half a thought in 1 second, it becomes 2 thoughts in 1 second. So we'll say 120 thoughts maybe in 1 minute if one is stressed. Under stress, why, and then we start banging the head like that, why. It's like banging at the same place. Naturally that thing will break. And then the depression comes because all the mental energy is drained away. The soul becomes weak. So what is the mind? It is the thinking ability of the soul. And it is shown in the form of waves. They are energy waves of thoughts. In a second, your mind travels to anywhere thousands of miles away. It's called telepathy. And the other person whom you are remembering is able to remember you. And he'll say, oh, somebody's remembering me. And I'll say, yes, somebody's remembering me. The telepathy works. So mind is affected by many physical factors as well, but then the intellect is the important factor of the soul, which also affects the mind. It filters the thoughts. It doesn't allow all the thoughts to be brought into action. Like the filter, you're filtering tea or coffee or whatever, you filter it. So what you don't want is left on top, and what you have to drink is taken below in the cup. So what is intellect? Intellect is actually the inner conscience of the soul, which is a deciding factor. And we have shown it in a form of a scale. A scale, a balance. They show in quotes a goddess of justice carrying a scale with her eyes closed. That means justice is without any partiality. If any partiality is there, it's not proper justice. So intellect gives the right justice. It gives importance to values. Just as a scale or balance will give importance to weight only. It doesn't give importance to anything else. So the intellect gives importance to values. That is why whenever I am going for something wrong, my conscience bites It's not right. It's not right. But very often it happens that because the sense organs are so powerful, they are so naughty, that immediately they affect the mind, and the mind is pulled by the senses and the intellect is suppressed. It's like supposing somebody has become diabetic and the doctor tells them, don't take sugar. Sugar is harmful for you. But then because his tongue is so used to taking sugar, eating sweet, like he likes sweets very much, and doctor has told him not to eat, but he can't control his tongue. So he will look around, hope nobody is watching, and then if nobody is watching, he'll take the sweet. If somebody is telling him, don't take, he says, no, little, doesn't matter, little. Then he says, okay, I'll take some more medicine. But he can't control his tongue. So the tongue becomes more powerful than the mind. And mind is pulled towards the tongue. And then the intellect is suppressed. Like somebody tells me, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And I get so angry. Why is he telling me don't do this? And I take a gun and shoot him. Shut up. But how to shut him up? I kill him. Because I don't want him to speak. So we are sort of killing our own conscience, It's like killing the soul. And when the conscience is killed, you can imagine what our life will become. We lose all our values. And when our values are lost, definitely we lose our life too. Life is valuable only because of values. If values go, then even life will go one day. It won't remain. It's valuable because of the values. So we have to give that spiritual strength to our intellect. And therefore we have shown intellect in the form of a scale. The scale will work properly only when the needle is upright. It's not shaking. The rod, horizontal rod is also not shaking. And the scales below are also not shaking. They are accurate. They are on the same line. That means when the mind is taken to God, then, and we are unbiased, non-partial, impartial, and we are giving importance to values, then automatically the intellect is working in a proper way. And the mind will be controlled by the intellect. And then the mind controls the sense organs. And thereby we become the real kings, the royal sages. So intellect is also a factor of the soul. Intelligence is different from intellect. I don't know how you will say in your language. Intelligence may be the grey matter of the brain. Some people are very intelligent, but IQ is very high. They have all the general knowledge of the world and they are able to memorize very quickly. They read anything, they see anything, they'll never forget. The IQ is very high. But then let me tell you, somebody with a very high IQ doesn't mean that he is a successful person in life. He may be a failure in life. Why? Because his emotional quotient, the EQ, is not strong enough. He gets upset very quickly, he gets angry very quickly, he cries very quickly, he sulks very quickly, easily depressed very quickly. So he is emotionally upset all the time, however intelligent he may be. So therefore they say EQ is more important than IQ. But then that emotional quotient, to be strong, one needs a very powerful SQ, the spiritual quotient. Because once I realize that I am a soul, then I know what my original nature is. I am a peaceful soul, a loving soul, because they are my original qualities. Just like in science we learn about the colors, the 7 colors. We say Vibgyor, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. The 7 core colors which make up all the other colors of the world. The 7 rainbow colors. They are the basic colors. We have the basic 7 days of a week, the 7 tones of music, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, 7. Similarly, there are 7 main qualities of every soul. We are all embodiments of those 7 qualities, the 7 main attributes we may say. And each soul is an embodiment of those 7 qualities, which you cannot get from outside. You only have to go within and feel your soul, yourself, and realize those qualities. Which are those 7 qualities? First is knowledge. Knowledge doesn't come from outside. What comes from outside is information. But what you assimilate inside and make it part of you, that is the real knowledge which comes from inside. So knowledge. Second is purity, purity of thoughts. Every soul in its original nature is very pure. Just like I have put on white clothes, they are so clean. No dust, no speck, nothing, no stain. But if there is a small stain, I eat something and I drop something on the clothes, the stain comes. And then even if I wash it, it maybe doesn't go until I dry clean it or whatever. So that stain looks so bad because everything else is so clean, that small stain doesn't look good. So too the soul in its original nature is so pure. That is why whenever the soul forgets itself and becomes body conscious, the vices come in the mind. Lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego, prejudice, hatred, jealousy, and all these vices. And then immediately you feel so guilty inside. You think, oh, you shouldn't have thought like that. So in my original nature I am a pure soul. It's like pure gold. But then pure gold can be alloyed, with copper and iron, and then it becomes alloyed gold. So the waste thoughts, there are many waste thoughts coming in the mind, the impure thoughts which are based on body consciousness, which the mind becomes influenced by the physical world. And therefore the waste and the impure thoughts come in the mind, which are a result of body consciousness. The soul forgets its original nature of purity. So for purity is my true nature. It's my swadharma. And where there is knowledge and there is purity, then the third attribute experienced by the soul is peace. Peace is a result of purity. Without pure thoughts, you cannot have peace. Peace is not external. Peace is not just absence of sound or absence of war or absence of something. Peace is an energy. Just like light is an energy. Light is not absence of darkness. Darkness may be absence of light, because darkness is not an energy. But light is an energy. And therefore peace is not absence of war or absence of sound. But peace is the presence of that spiritual energy of the soul. So once I understand that I am a peaceful soul, then the fourth quality I experience is love. Love is such a beautiful word, but today this love word has been distorted. It has been polluted, contaminated with body consciousness, and love has become, is based only on physical attraction. And they call that love. On Valentine's Day, they distribute or exchange hearts. But what is the use of just exchanging hearts? They say you give your heart to somebody and take sorrow in return. What is the use? And you break somebody's heart, or you say my heart is broken because somebody, deceived you. But actually, love is something so spiritual. We love God. We love nature. We love little children. They're so sweet. When the child is smiling, we feel so, we feel so good, and we start loving that child because the child is smiling. It's so beautiful. So love is really a very pure quality of the soul. But today it has been misunderstood, and only physical love is considered to be love. But actually that is sex lust. That is attachment. And lust, attachment, they're all vices. They all make the soul impure. They contaminate the soul. The true love is really lost because there's selfishness in that. And that will lead to sorrow. Love is altruistic. Love is selfless. In love you surrender. You don't ask for anything. You actually give everything. You sacrifice. That is the real love. So where there is selfishness, there is no real love. It's only attraction towards the physical body. But then that attraction doesn't last long. Somebody may be very beautiful and there's an attraction towards the beauty of the body. But then if that beautiful person or handsome person is not, doesn't have good qualities, he's a very angry person or she's a very angry lady, however beautiful she may be, their anger will destroy all her beauty. So along with the beauty, there should be the beauty of peace also, the beauty of truth also. All these qualities are necessary. And therefore they say handsome is he who handsome does, not handsome is he who handsome looks. There's a difference. So that is the true love. And where there is love, there's also happiness. The inner happiness of the soul, which is called contentment, satisfaction, where the desires end and the true happiness is felt, because desires have no end actually until there's a realization from within. Physical desires are like your shadow. The more you go away from light, the larger, the bigger your shadow will become. And you can't even hold it, you can't even catch it. It is, you are just following it. But once you give a back to your shadow and go towards the light, your shadow will become smaller and smaller and smaller. And as you reach the light, it will disappear. So your desires are like that. The more you run after your desires, they will become longer and longer. And you are going away from the light, the enlightenment of the soul. You are going away from God, the bestower. And the result is you will always be roaming and lingering and never happy in life, in spite of getting everything. But the moment you give a back to it and go towards God, you will see that everything gives you happiness, whatever you have. So the true happiness is within, it is not outside. And that happiness is the nature of the self, the soul. And when there's that happiness because of love for the self and God and for souls and the inner peace and satisfaction within, that happiness leads to bliss, anandam. We say param anand, satchitanand, satyanand, mitranand, premanand, shantanand. Anand, the blissful stage. And the highest bliss is Paramanand, the bliss we experience when we are connected with God. And that Anand, that bliss,